Cars 3 is the third film in the Cars franchise and the ending of Pixar's second trilogy after Toy Story. It is directed by Brian Fee and stars Owen Wilson, I have this name pulled up, Cristela Alonso, Chris Cooper, Nathan Fillion, and Armie Hammer. So, ever since a young age, I have been a fan of the Cars, I'm not going to say the Cars franchise, of Cars, the first movie in 2006. I don't know how many people have this, but as a kid, you sort of have that one animated movie that you grow up on, and you just watch over and over again, no matter what. Mine was Cars. Going back on it now, sure, it's nowhere near Pixar's best movie, not even close, but as a kid, I loved it. And then Cars 3, this new, the trailers got me kind of excited for it. It looked like a new style, it looked darker, it looked grittier in a way. I was interested, even though it's a Pixar sequel, and I don't really know what Pixar's been doing recently. They haven't been doing great. Inside Out was good, sure, but everything else they've been making since, Toy Story 3, I think, has been pretty rough in terms of filmmaking. So, at the end of the day with this movie, I enjoyed it. I really liked it walking out of the theater. I had a smile on my face. I felt good about this movie. So let me get into why, because it's certainly better than this piece of shit.
What is happening? This is a bad dream.
I don't know what happened with that one. I really don't. I don't know how they fucked that one up. That's definitely the worst Pixar movie. I'm not even going to say the name. But, I don't know what the fuck happened there. Let's move past it. Because what I liked about this movie is they never even reference it. They don't say shit about that movie. They just, forgot it ever happened. The animation in this movie is stunning. It's stunning. It really shows how far something like Pixar has come in terms of animation. Because while Toy Story is a phenomenal movie, it's one of the most well-written and directed and acted Pixar movies. It probably will go down as one of the best animated movies ever. The animation in it is very 1990s. It doesn't hold up that well, but you forget about it because of how great that movie is. This movie, the animation is beautiful. There are shots in this thing that look real. It's a great looking movie, and I gotta give the animation team props on that. They did a phenomenal job with this movie. It looks incredible, and it constantly adds to scenes you're looking at, especially racing scenes or setup scenes in terms of areas that they're in. Those were mostly the shots that I was like, wow, that looks like they actually took a camera and were filming a set piece. Or when lightning is crashing or whatever, that first time you see it in the trailer, it looks incredible. So they did a really great job with that. There is, some really good and surprising character stuff in this movie. There's some great development, there's some great setup, and they all have solid motivations for being there. A lot of times that can be difficult in animated movies to be okay, this character has to have a motivation for being here, and then they have to do something, and they have to develop through the movie. That's not always easy when you're making a movie about things that aren't real. And I find it funny that I'm talking about character development in a movie where this is what the fucking characters look like. You see what I'm saying, where writers kind of have to feel silly when they're sitting at their desk going, how can I make this talking car have solid character development? And they do a good job with that in this movie, especially with someone like Lightning McQueen, who they really actually give some solid grounds for. There's some stuff to his character that really adds to it. It involves the character of Doc Hudson, who was Paul Newman's character in the first movie, and I'll kind of talk about that a little bit more in a second. But they give his character a little more grounding for what he's doing, and again, his motivation, why he's there, and it constantly, they keep cutting back to it, and showing reasons for him to do this, or why he's doing this. There's always a reason for his character to do something. And that sort of carries throughout most of the other characters. And while it's not as prevalent with them because they're not the lead of the film, particularly with McQueen, they do a very good job with not only setting that up, but carrying it through the entire movie. And then the Doc Hudson part, like I was talking about, they don't mention him at all in Cars 2, I don't think. I don't remember that movie enough. But I think that they were trying to be respectful of him or whatever, but they really do some great stuff with this character in this movie. Like, he's a very important force of the story, and I think that is a very good choice because he was a huge part of the first movie and the outcome of that film, and having him in this movie to link back to so that this actual plot can develop and the characters can develop, I think that's very important to have. And it would have been very easy to fuck up or to have it be in bad taste, but it's not. It's in very good taste. They only look on him respectfully and happily, and it makes you sad because I was a huge Paul Newman fan. I missed the shit out of him. He's like top 3 most suave guys ever in Hollywood, right up there with James Stewart. Like, he was so cool. And it's, it's sad that he's gone, but they really have some great references to his character, and that really does add to the movie. Sometimes it can just be for nostalgia factor, but it's not. It's for actual development of the story. So I think that was a very big part, at least for me, in putting this movie up higher than it would have been. The voice cast is very good, obviously, because, like, say what you will about Cars 2 or whatever, there's only one person that could voice Lightning McQueen. There's just one, and it's Owen Wilson. He's the only person that can do it. He's, yet again, great in this movie. You've got new people being added to it, like Chris Cooper, who's great. I love Chris Cooper as an actor. I feel like I don't see Chris Cooper enough. People don't know his name enough, in my opinion. I think he's incredible, and while, yes, he fits a certain type of performance and a certain type of character, he does it very well. I don't know, I forgot her name. The girl that plays Cruz, I've never seen her before. I think she's a new actress. She was great. Nathan Fillion was great. Like, it's a very good voice cast the whole way around. It's all of these things that I've just talked about creates a movie that's enjoyable. Not a great movie. It's nowhere near Pixar's best. It's like average for Pixar. But it's enjoyable, it's fun, kids are gonna love it, and adults are gonna find enjoyment out of it. Are there things wrong with this movie? Yes, and I'm about to get into them. I'm gonna talk about, like, more of a little problem I had, I guess. I was very mixed on the ending of this movie. If you've seen it, you kind of know what I'm talking about. I'm not gonna spoil it. I spoiled The Mummy a couple weeks ago, and that's because fuck that movie. But, like, I don't know, it capped off well the character development, and I think that was definitely the primary focus that the screenwriters had with this movie was character. I think they were really looking to enhance the characters of this movie from the first film, and yes, the second movie did happen then. I think they were looking to show off the characters a little more, because that is a very strong suit with Pixar, whether it's movies like Up or The Incredibles or Toy Story. Some of their strongest aspects in their movies are their characters, and I think they were maybe even trying to have Lightning McQueen be even more of a voice in Pixar history, or someone like Cruz, who if they make a Cars 4 is probably going to be in it. And, like, I feel like they were trying to put these characters up there with the legends, and that's not going to happen, but still, the ending of this movie capped off their development nicely, but it made the rest of the story almost feel a little bit anticlimactic. Like, you're sort of going through this whole story waiting for a specific thing to happen, and then it doesn't. And yes, like, you kind of feel good about it, I guess, like, it's a feel-good ending in a way, but I didn't really find it to be a good ending. I like the idea of it. I think the idea of it was solid, but the execution was not on par. I think there was definitely room for them to do something different with it and to make it feel as though we've been on this whole journey and we actually got this really intense and epic ending, as opposed to sort of the bleh, like, yeah, we've had this build up, but the characters ending are more important than the actual story hitting the peak that we've been looking for. And it's sort of a problem I've had with previous Pixar movies, especially the ones that have come out in the last, like, 5 to 7 years, and, like, what we've really been seeing in terms of just movies as a whole, as sort of, like, Pixar feeling like they have to end the way the audience wants it to end. And I don't think that's the case. I think they were definitely more risky before, like, 2010. But I think the ending of this movie sort of reflected how Pixar has been failing recently. And that sort of gets into my biggest complaint about this movie, is the storyline as a whole. Not how they build off of it and play off of it, the foundation of the story. It is very generic. This is a very basic story. Everything in this movie, I gotta say, kind of reminded me of Creed. Like, it felt like Creed, but Pixar. And it's just not original. It's by the books, it's cookie cutter, it's a template. And to the point where you sort of could guess what would happen at the end of the movie. And that's unfortunate, because in a movie like Up, which I think, in my opinion, is the best Pixar movie, you really have to look at it and go, yeah, you sort of start out with that movie, and with that gut punch it gives you right from the beginning, you realize, I don't know how this thing is going to end. For 90 minutes, it's original. And I probably will actually make a video on this, of Pixar's golden age. My theory is that when Pixar was formed, they had like 9 really, really great original ideas that they wanted to make. And they got their name and they made all of them and then just ran out. So they started making a bunch of unnecessary sequels and prequels like Monsters University and Cars 2, and then tried to make original movies, but then they weren't original, like The Good Dinosaur. I'm pretty sure, I've heard this, I don't know if it's accurate, that Inside Out had been in development since like 2009, which was still during their golden age, as I like to call it, but it was also directed by Pete Docter, who did Up and Monsters, Inc., and he's clearly one of the stronger Pixar directors. So I think that, like, they almost ran out of original stories, because all of the movies that are coming out now with Pixar, they're just not original. Like Brave and Monsters University and Cars 2, and they're just not original, and that's a huge problem with this movie. It makes it predictable, and it takes you out of it a lot, and it reflects what's been wrong with Pixar recently, and I want to see Pixar succeed again. And it's interesting because Disney has almost taken over Pixar in terms of filmmaking, which I don't think a lot of people saw coming, because for 10 years Pixar was the top of animation. Wow, that was a weird way to say that. Animation. And, like, Disney has, with movies now coming out like Wreck-It Ralph and Big Hero 6 and all of the stuff they've got coming out. I didn't like Frozen. Kill me, I don't know. But, like, I think that there's a lot of disappointment in that regard, and centering around Pixar as a company right now, in a studio. And you know what? I'm still hopeful for The Incredibles 2. Show me that. Show me that. And if Coco is good, then I think they're going to be back on track. I think they've got somewhere to go. Toy Story 4, I still think is completely unnecessary, and I think that's them being like, we need a movie out. But I don't know. I think there's still places to go for them, but this movie in particular and its storyline as a whole really reflected Pixar's recent failures to me. So, overall, this is an enjoyable movie. I liked it, and I think most people are going to like it for what builds off of an unoriginal story, because it's not an original movie by any stretch of the imagination, but what's built on top of that makes for a good movie. I recommend checking this out. Take your kids. Kids will love it. The kids in my theater loved it. Yeah. I definitely say check this one out. If I was a little slower today, like kind of talking and catching myself, I apologize. I'm sick. I saw this movie on Thursday, and I really wanted to get this review out because it's been a while. So, like, I found out last night that I had a fever. I feel a little bit better, but like I'm not great right now. There's a video I'm working on at the moment that I think is going to be really funny when I'm able and ready to do what I want to do with it. It should be coming this week. And now that I'm plugging things, follow me on Twitter at IceColdFilm. Yep, Ice Cold Films was taken. I shit you not. So, what did you guys think? Have you seen Cars 3? Did you not see Cars 3? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed, leave a like, subscribe. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you all next time.